thank you all for coming. I do these, if you can't hear me when if I doze off or whatever, just like wave at me, all right, please? I'm going to try and do this without a mic, but you know, sometimes you get conversational and you stop talking. So please just wave at me. We're going to do a few things today. I thought about this just in terms of an overview. I've been doing iMovie and iMovie projects now since my wife convinced me it was a really good thing to do. About 4 years ago, maybe, when we first had the first version of it. And now she sort of advocated it to me. So you'll see, I'll show you a little movie later on. But we're just going to do some basic stuff. I brought some show and tells because everybody always gets hung up on how do I connect it and what do I do? And I figured seeing is believing. We're going to do 4 things just by way of overview. iMovie basics, which I think everybody in this group has seen before. I'll talk about a couple of things that I find that are very cool. And then how do we put it on theater and iTunes and YouTube and share it with other people. And a couple of things that I've learned that you should not do. So I'll tell you those things. Basically, there are a whole bunch of words that iMovie uses. That's pretty legible up there. They talk about libraries. And it took me a while to get my head around what all these different terms were. Come on, sit in somewhere. Come sit up front so you can hear me.
Thank you.
You can see better too. Libraries is just a language for where they're stored. Right? They'll make a library and then you have to go figure out what does that mean. And I'll show you this on the program in a minute. Events are when they happen. Some people use events by date. The system does it automatically. Apple is big on putting things into dates. If you know that from iPhoto, your photo stream will be organized by month. If you don't label an event when you put it into iPhoto, it'll be a date. It'll just say October 11th, 2014, whatever. Unless you change that, it'll be that forever. So that's how iMovie works too. If you don't put a thing in, it puts it in by date. And usually it's the date that you're doing it, not the date when it happened. And don't ask me why Apple does that. It's just one of the artifacts of the way iMovie works. That is, if it labels it automatically. All right, you can change all this. Projects and movies is the same thing. In the old version of iMovie, projects and movies were different. A project was sort of something that you started, but a movie was the end product. Now they're sort of used interchangeably. When you talk about movies, you talk about projects, it's really the same language. Timelines, how they fit together. So when you're organizing yourself and you're organizing the clips, that goes on a timeline, and that's how you put them all together. You can do that with photos, you can do that with music, you can do that with captions. It's just basically a timeline. And lastly, trailers is a short version of what you made. Never make it, you can do this earlier, but don't make a trailer until you're done. Because when you're done, then it contracts it very nicely and you can use it as a trailer. Right? So let me see if I can get out of here. Let me show you some of the stuff on the program.
I don't quite understand what you just meant by that.
By trailers?
No, but you say make the project and then make the trailer.
No, sure. So this is what a real library looks like. I brought my library with me. This is how I keep it at home. I don't keep it on my Mac. And the reason I don't keep it on my Mac is something always happens to a Mac. We all know that, right? The hard drives crash after 3 or 4 years. Something weird goes on with it because it's always running, it's always calculating, it's always doing things. So I keep my movies on external hard drives. That sounds like blasphemy, but it's easier that way. And I back it up twice. I have 7 external hard drives at home, and I back this up every time, every day. Actually, this one I back up once a week because I don't use it that often. But I back it up, make sure I have a copy of this everywhere. This is a terabyte. It's only about a half have filled right now, and you can see all the movies that I have on here. This is my library. This library is called, sorry, it's not going to do this. This library is called iMovie Library White. That's just because it's a white hard drive. I have the black one and the blue one at home, so it's sort of visual.
That works.
This is what I mean by how you organize the stuff. Here's the list of all the movies from here, 2014 all the way to 1970. Now, how did I didn't have a movie camera in 1970. How did I do that? Well, my 1970 movie were things that I brought, whoops, that's the wrong place, were things that I brought from the old 8mm VHS kind of thing, 16mm tapes that I've converted and stored them here. So this is what your library looks like. In George's case, there's another library down here which says iMovie Library. I guess I'm a little bit off-center, but that's all right. iMovie Library is the one on George's hard drive, which he eliminated everything except this little test thing down here, and then all the rest of this is here. In the program, you can look at all your events together, and it will go out there and load up all your events. So if you're looking for a particular event in iMovie because you want to make a movie and you want to take something from another time or place and bring it in, you just go. It takes a while, unfortunately, because you have a lot on here.
How are events different from projects?
An event is a time, is just a clip of something that you've put into an event. It's a date or a time or a party or something. It's an event. A project is something that you do. All right, so here's my events, and they're all down here. There's something like 600 and some events. They're basically all little clips of things that were recorded. Right?
Is an event a clip, or is it a combination of?
An event is a combination of clips. Okay. I'll show you here. Let's just look at David Dorio, because I think that's pretty short. So an event in 2013 with David Dorio, who's our granddaughter, our second granddaughter. And then down here are the movies, are the clips, pardon me. And each clip, you can see the one I just selected is the top one. That's in yellow. And then the lower one is a different clip. So a clip is a piece of a movie, something that you filmed, right? Or on your iPhone or on your iPad. So those are clips. Clips get organized into events.
When you turn your camera on and off, or
a clip is when you turn your camera on and off. So here's where I turn the camera on. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. Those are all individual clips. And you can have a million clips. However often, some of you have competition. However often you turn the camera on and off, you get a clip. They're making me use a microphone. That's what this is about. Right? So everybody has events, has a library is the whole thing. You can have lots of libraries. You can have 100 libraries. I only have about 4. The reason for that is I put everything into events. And for me, where the thing is called my library. If you use an external hard drive, it has to be in the top level of the drive. You can't have something in the way when you go to this one, which is, as I said, white hard drive. You can't have something in the middle that says documents and then have a library. The library has to be at the top. right? So if you looked at this on the Finder, you would see white hard drive, my library. Okay, everybody with me? You can have 10 of these, and then you have 10 libraries. On my computer, I have 2 libraries on the computer, because I have 2 hard drives in the computer. Right? Everybody with me? Okay. So that's library, and that's events. Projects. Projects are movies. Same word, same language. Right? So if we go back to the various projects that are here, these are the little projects down here at the bottom. And I have a lot of different projects. I have 58 projects that we've done over the years. So a project is a movie, right? Think of it that way.
It's actually, the project is actually what you make.
Right. Project is what you make. But the ultimate aim is making a movie, right? You want to have something that's like it.
Is a movie a finished project?
Yeah. Or a movie is something that's in the middle. Like this is a project. This thing here is new project 4. That's just a snippet of something that I put together that I want to make a movie of that I haven't finished yet. So it's a project sort of in process. Okay. What else have we got here? Timelines. When I open a project, let me see if I can do this right. So this is an event called Big Biana. Big Biana is a kind of orchid. My wife's an orchaholic, so you have to bear with me. The timeline is this thing that's down at the bottom. This thing is the timeline. And I've put pictures in the timeline, and I've put a clip in the timeline, and there's more clips down here. And then we have she's talking, so there's no music added to this. But that's the timeline. The event is Big Biana, and then the finished product is called Big Biana Champion, and I'll show you that later on as we talk about it. I just want to try and get the language and the process down. So you have events. Events are what you film, like if we're here, what George is doing, right? We make an event. An event has clips in it. Sometimes it has photos, but you have to import the photos. They don't come here automatically. And then you have a finished product, which is a movie or a project. And you can have more than one project. You can use the videos to make different projects.
When I first started playing with iMovie, I scooped up and I somehow got everything into the timeline.
Yeah.
How do I undo that?
You separate them just the way I've been doing.
But I mean, do I just pull them out of the timeline?
Yeah, you just make a new event. Yeah. It's just called make a new event. You can select a clip and then select the entire clip, and you just drag it over to a new event over here. Click new event. Right? Now it's going to make a date. Today is the 26th. I guess the computer thinks it's the 26th. Isn't it the 27th?
No, it's not.
Today's the 26th? Okay. So the 20, oh yeah, because it's tomorrow. And then you would go to the Biana or wherever. You would drag a clip and you would drag it up there. And that's now here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's what I've been doing. One of the things that you learn, I'm getting ahead of myself, but one of the things that you learn about the upgrade when we went from iMovie 8 to 9 or whatever the right number is, you get a little thing over here called updated projects. And updated projects are projects that were updated from the old version to the new version. I guess it's kind of, I've been working on getting rid of it. Anyway, you get a new thing called updated projects, and all those projects get stuck in one place. So you have to take them all out and put them. That's what I've been doing. All right. A trailer is a short version. I'll show you how to do that later on. So let's talk about how we start. We got the program on the computer. Everybody knows you have iMovie on your iPad too, right? $10. It's really cool. You can do all sorts of stuff just on your iPad. Almost everything you can do on your Mac, you can do on your iPad. The tutor tutorial that's available is different from the Mac and the iPad. So you got to buy it twice. It's the only downside. I bought it twice. I don't see much difference, so I'd say only buy it once. You get most of what's done in your head, and you can figure out the rest. Sure.
To that point, if you subscribe to his website, you can see it on either your iPad or your Mac. So the issue of buying two copies is kind of like one if you.
But there's two versions. One's for the iPad and
Yeah,
one's for the.
but
you can see them both.
See them both.
Oh. Didn't know that. Okay, so how do I get them from my camera, from my phone, from my iPad, from my Sony into my computer? Into iMovie, rather. You can plug in your camera. We all know about these things, right? But when I looked at my Sony recently to get this stuff plugged in, it has the old FireWire output. So guess what? Apple doesn't use that anymore. They eliminated FireWire 1 and FireWire 2. This is FireWire 1, and then FireWire 2 is a little square one. So you got to go to Apple and spend $30 to buy a little adapter that plugs into this, which plugs into this, and then this is Thunderbolt, and it plugs in the back of your Mac. Anybody who wants to borrow it can borrow it. Save yourself $30, just call me. Because I'm not using it every day, you know. For those of you who have VHS things around, how many of you still have a VHS player, tape? You have old tapes that you want to convert?
Yes.
Well, there's this little thing called video capture. Again, I bought it at Apple. I think it was $100. But you're welcome to borrow it. My son borrowed it, put all his VHSs on the computer. The downside is it takes an hour. Because if it's an hour tape, it's going to play for an hour before it records it. But you put it into iMovie, and it's really cool.
But you need a VHS player, right? If you don't,
You need a VHS player.
if you don't have a VHS player.
If you don't, you can rent one from Marty Dorio. He still has one. I saw 3 or 4 other hands in here. They probably don't charge you as much.
Well, you can take it to Costco,
Yeah.
for maybe, go get the promotions, and for $16 they'll take care of it.
Yeah.
They'll copy it for you, and then you have the problem of what do I do with my disc? You can import to iMovie from your disc and then throw away your disc. Because the disc will age and it will get bad, right? You can use your SD card. Does the Mac have a?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a card reader, so you plug it into your Mac. So I take my 35 millimeter, I make movies, I use the card and I plug it in. So it's very straightforward. If you don't have that, there's a nice little card reader for compact flash.
You don't have one of those, you can borrow it from Marty.
You don't have one of those,
Or rent
it. You can rent it from me. This is you know, I am retired on a fixed income. These cords, so you're all familiar with them. That's how you connect your iPhone and your iPad to your computer. So it's very easy to get all this stuff into iMovie. It's really straightforward. How do you do that? Well, we make a new event. I just did this one, so we'll do this. We make a new event. I probably should put that backwards. Here's the new event, November 26th. and you simply click import up here. It opens a new window, and then you go find whatever it was that you did. If you had a SD card, it would appear as a card.
Oh, now that's real natural.
This is real natural, and this happens a lot. This is one of the problems with the new iMovie, where I find really interesting that it does happen. I don't know why it happens. I keep sending reports to Apple. You have any idea why it happens? Nope. I've been on every user group to find out what to do about it. I have no idea. So, what do we do? All right, so we're going to import to my new event. I'm going to open the event, and then I click import. And then down here are all the places that you can go to import stuff. If I wanted to import, let's say, from my White Passport hard drive, I would just go to the White Passport hard drive. I would click on a movie or an image. In this case, I've got some extra images. And I would click on that and then import it into the thing. I'm not going to do it because I've already done it for you. But importing is really straightforward. And then you wind up with a screen that looks something like this.
You import it into the hard drive, into the external, before you start working on it. I just didn't understand what you said.
Yeah. The media, the movie that you've taken with your camera is on something, right? So I plugged it into the computer, and then I say import. And what it's doing is it's putting it in my library, and my library is located on here.
Okay.
Right? Now,
Well, that's part of the process. You tell it where to put it.
you tell it where to put it. Now I told it where to put it when I selected 1126 and I said iMovie white. That's this, right? If I wanted to put it on George's hard drive, I would have put down at the bottom and I would have put it on George's hard drive. So wherever you want to
Your
store
iMovie program is on your computer, but you're working on the data in your hard drive.
Right.
Okay. I thought you put it in your hard drive after you finished it. You can work on it.
Yeah, you want to work on it where you store it, because iMovie Library is a contained thing. It's one of the things I'll talk about later. iMovie Library doesn't keep it as a separate file somewhere. Like we're used to thinking about files. We're used to thinking about documents / my movies / kids in Connecticut. You got to think my library, and then let iMovie figure out where to store stuff and how to store it. So we don't worry about where to put it. iMovie puts it where you want it to be put. And the only way you worry about it is when you click on iMovie White or iMovie Library, which is George's hard drive.
Got it. Okay.
Right? Everybody with me on that? You just want to put it wherever you want to store it there. You're not going to move it again. You're not going to do anything with it again, right? Except manipulate it. Now, my kids in Connecticut, this little guy is my number 5 grandchild, number 3 grandchild, I guess, whatever. And we took a bunch of clips. This is a clip of him doing some stuff. Right? He's playing with Legos and he's teaching me how you build stuff with Legos. So then I wanted to make a movie out of that. And the way you do that is you drag these little clips from where they were up here. And the little orange line, you all see the orange line? This little orange line means I have clicked on that and dragged it to the timeline. Right? So the way you do it in real life is you just decide which of these you want to make into a movie, and you bring them down and you put them in here. And that's the timeline.
And those are clips that you're dragging down.
Would you like it pointed?
Yeah, see, oh, that's really great. Yeah, thank you. So
Maybe you want stairs.
let's just look at this.
Just press the button.
So what I just did is I clicked the space bar, I put the timeline over where I wanted it to be, and I click the space bar to make it play. Right? Now, if I decide I don't want this here, I just drag and drop it. Right? I click it, okay, click it. Sorry, new computer, strange computer.
Command key.
Yeah. Now, if I want to move that from here to here, it's really not this hard. I can move it around, I can move it back to the end, whatever I want to do. These things are called transitions. And a transition is simply a way to make it change. This little guy shows you how long they are. The thing on the right-hand side. This little guy. There's a little slider that just makes the clip bigger or smaller. So for manipulation purposes, I make them really small because I can see what they are up here as I pick it. And I just pick that guy and I drag him down into the... Okay.
So when you do that, is it removing the clips from your original movie or just copying them?
It's really just taking an index.
Okay.
And like the green card. So if I wanted to add something else or make another project or whatever, I just close this guy and I make another project. And this project is the knitting project. And I go up here and find the knitting things, and I cut them and clip them and move them down using the knitting things. I marked it, and not just in uncoordinated. And I just drag it down. You can make them longer and shorter. You can trim them. You can add high speed or not. There's some really cool features. If you look up here in on the menu bar, you can do all sorts of editing. You can adjust the color balance. You can color correct. You can crop a movie. So let's say I wanted to crop this movie. I could literally stop it there and focus in on her hands.
Would that just be that frame?
Isn't that cool?
Or how much is that cropping, Marty? That frame or a sequence?
It would crop,
Or the whole clip?
it cropped the clip.
But what you can do is split it.
Yeah, I could split it. That's slow motion. You can take the vibration out if you have a vibration problem. By clicking this little button, you can stabilize it. If it's shaky, it will go through and remove any vibration, any vertical vibration. There's enhancing optimizes the video. So there's lots of editing that you can do. It's just really quite remarkable to me. When I look at some of these old videos that I have, where there were 8mm, no sound, no color, you know, barely legible, grainy. Now you got this HD stuff. It's just remarkable.
Does that shake part work good on the old movies? Usually, a lot of old movies you had some zero and stuff.
I haven't done enough of it to answer that question, frankly. But it's pretty good. You can do video effects and audio effects. The video effect, let's say I wanted to add, make it a little dreamier. I could pick that and make it dreamy to see what the difference is in this video. Now it's dreamy. See how it changed from color on that. So there's all sorts of really good stuff you can do. That's in a project.
I'm Lego builders. So I'm going to teach my grandparents how to build Legos. This is how you
He's very precocious.
just a little white from this little thing. And you take it off by putting your nail near it, and then voila, it's here. And
Say
then
voila,
put it
voila.
on.
Voila. You know, you're a 5-year-old that comes in. Can I say? Cool features. We covered a couple of these. You can crop a movie, which I showed you. You can speed them up and slow them down. There's a little rabbit. That's stabilizing. That's lowering volume. There's speeding up and slowing down. You can slow it down. And make it go faster.
How to attach it onto something is
This is 2 times.
how to make a fire truck. One of these little pieces is a Lego glass. So Lego glass is
You
all
can
about
reverse
making
it.
Lego.
If you want to do something and make it sort of funny,
This part of the Lego glass is a wheel.
I'm just going backwards. It's just really, and then you can fix the pitch. So even though it's going backwards, it'll have the right
Fire.
sound.
You have built a fire truck.
Got it. Ken Burns effect, we don't know what that is, right? It's where the thing moves up and down and sort of gets rotated. You can add that effect as well. And you can airplay. We saw that last week with Jim. From your Mac, from your MacBook Pro, from your iPad, you can AirPlay on your big screen TV. It makes it a little bit easier to share that way, because the other way you share is you put it on the cloud and you get it down, or you put it in iMovie Theater and you get it down, put it in YouTube and you got to go find it and get it down. And when you AirPlay, you just sit here and do what we're doing here without all this wire. Just play it. So that makes it sort of cool. It's going to be cool this weekend because they're all going to be here. And we can see their movement. iMovie Theater lets you share your work on other devices, as I just said. By putting it in iMovie Theater, it then shares the finished product to anywhere where you have iMovie Theater. So it would be in, on your iPad or on your Mac, and you can do it on the cloud as well. You can share to iTunes. I wondered why this was true, and then I figured it out. When I first did this TV Lego Builder, I did it on my iPad, and it wasn't wasn't finished yet. And I was trying to figure out, all right, now how do I get it to my Mac so I can go finish it? Because I do most of my video editing on the Mac, not on my iPad. Well, if you save it to iTunes, then it appears on your Mac, and you just download it. Not download it, but it's on your iTunes. Then it will be saved in iTunes everywhere. How do you do that? This little button up here says share, and you get all these little options. You can email it, you can do YouTube. If you're in the middle of a snowstorm in Naples, Florida, and you want to send it to CNN, you can do the iReport and make a video and slap it together, and boom, get it sent up there. Vimeo, Facebook, all of them. But anyway, iTunes and Theater are the two that I use, and YouTube are the other ones. And then to get it to YouTube or to get it to Theater, you just click on Theater, and it shows you the things that you have. We're in his iMovie, so we have a combination here of TV Lego Builder, which is the one I just did, this one, and the other things that George has put together. Well, then you'll see this little bar. This little bar is uploading that movie. You'll have to delete it, George, unless you want to keep Max for posterity. Your grandkids will say, "Who the hell is that? Why do you have another grandkid?" Secret grandkid. And it'll say creating the movie.
Where's this theater stored? Is it stored in, is it on the cloud, or is it
Stored on the cloud, and then it appears everywhere. And if you click this little arrow to the right here, you'll have play, rename it, delete it, or reveal it in the event. And reveal in the event just means take me back to where I was in the event.
but it's using up your icon storage?
I think so. Yeah. I'm sure that that's true. So you go back to library, all I did was click up here where it says library. It takes me back to my library. Let me see what else I want to tell you about. Sharing to YouTube is sort of cool. When we dig beyond,
Can I ask you another question
Yes,
about
of
the
course.
theater? Do you need to put it in theater before you can play it to your Apple TV?
no, you don't need to do anything to play to your Apple TV. As long as you have it on whatever device you have to play to Apple TV, it just takes your
It'll play
signal
from,
and plays it.
okay.
If you do mirroring,
If you do hear.
you have to mirror. Now what we did here with the Dig Beyond Champion is, you see off to the right here, there's this little box that says, it looks like a sharing box, and it says iTunes Theater. Well, that is sort of the inventory. Sorry. This is sort of the inventory of where we did it. And then if you just click that little guy, it shows that I shared it to the theater. I've done it 3 times so far, because it had a learning curve. Published to my iTunes library, and then I shared it to YouTube. So if you go to Gail Dorio channel on YouTube, you can see this movie on YouTube. And YouTube is really cool. If you don't have a YouTube account, you should get a YouTube account. It's your Google account. You use the same sign-on and password, and then you have a channel that's your channel. You can put stuff up there. The restriction is they don't let you put up copyrighted music. So if you're going to use copyrighted music, it can't be a public YouTube. It can only be shared among friends and family kind of thing. Okay? So a YouTube channel is really quite interesting. It lets you put stuff up there. There's a 15-minute limit, so you can't put stuff up there longer than 15 minutes. That's why you use iTheater and other things.
Marty, something about that is that if you don't want the general public to view it, you can also restrict who can see the YouTube video.
Yeah, you can make it by link only, or you can make it just with certain people who are approved to see it.
I'm able to put any link up on YouTube, and I have no idea why I became capable all of a sudden, why they gave me that privilege.
I don't know.
Just sort of happened.
Now, if you put music in that you bought on iTunes, you can't
Well, it's copyrighted music and it looks like it's for commercial purposes. But, I mean, you do it and then they reject it, and you know.
Got it.
You put them in Dropbox?
And then sometimes,
Well, see, Dropbox isn't a sharing function. You gotta let people, you can't put it in Dropbox because it's a file, right, just like anything else. But it's hard to share because then you gotta give the people access, and you know, YouTube, for Marty Dorio, you just go to my channel, Marty Dorio, and my videos are there. They're real estate videos, so you're not gonna be interested.
I think Dropbox is easy to do though, right? You just put it in Dropbox, you send a link, and anybody can access it. They don't have to have Dropbox, because they just look at it in your Dropbox.
This is a finished version.
I was talking to my husband about the orchid world, and I think he's coming outside as well. And I said, there he is, and I said, I really would.
Oops. What I wanted to point out here is this is a series of, this is a finished product.
Oh.
This is a series of still pictures that I took from iPhoto. Because when you're in iMovie, you can access your iPhoto library seamlessly. You just go to it and it opens up just like you see it normally. So these are still pictures. This is the clip that she just started talking on, and then I added music as an overlay. I've subsequently figured out that I can actually play this all the way through her talking and lower the volumes. I can adjust the volume so you can make the music louder. When she's talking, you make it a little bit softer, and then you can bring it back again. And you do that just by taking this line and raising and lowering it. See, that line there is lower than this line here, is higher than that one. And then you make the sound taper off at the end. So we've added single pictures, the captions are in here and up here, and then her Gail's talking is embedded in that soundtrack here. You can separate sound from audio, from video. You can add other sounds. You can do almost anything you want. And it's very simple. It's just drag and drop that we've talked about already. So let me go back to this.
You teach Hollywood how to do that?
It shows my Dick Piana, which is over there. We're going to go over there because it's spectacular. This is the Dick Piana. It's a cattleya, and as you can probably see, it's very, very hairy. It's also very difficult to grow, so I am ecstatic. If you'll notice, there's 5 flowers open, and you see this funky thingy-do? This is a flower coming, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 is poking up. And then this little guy is a tip, so that'll be 5 more flowers for a total of 10. And I think I'm the most excited orcaholic ever.
She needed some direction because she wasn't turning.
I'm praying that the flowers stay really, really nice and don't get nasty.
Each of these transitions is a transition that you can control. You can actually show how long the transition is. You can apply it to all, or just apply it to this one. If you wanted to make this 4 seconds, you can do that. So you can adjust each transition as you're making the transitions.
The Digbyana, cat layout, species.
When you double click the little blue things that are above there, you get the captions that you want, and then you just fill those in with your keyboard. You can make the caption say anything you want it to say. And you can control the length. You see what happened when I move the cursor to the end. You can make that longer or shorter. You can do the same there. Now, where do I get those things from? Well, Apple's very happily given us all this stuff called content library over here on the left. Transitions. You have all sorts of choices for transitions. You can do new scans, cross blurs, spin out, circles, depending on what you're showing. It's pretty obvious that it's called transitions. Titles. You then can position the title anywhere you want. If it's in the lower third, 1, 2, or 3, you can have a standard title, a standard lower third title, yada, yada, yada. They give you like 25 or 30 different transitions, titles. You have logo lights, things. It's very flexible. You can incorporate maps. If you want to position maps, you can have curtains and different kinds of backgrounds and different kinds of colors. You can access iTunes. You just go pick your songs. The hardest part we had when we did, Gail did a Mother's Day movie, the hardest part we had was picking songs. Because we're not real good on which lyrics go to which song, and is it positive or is it negative, is it happy, is it sad? So we spent a lot of time just sort of clicking on a song, you click it and then it plays. And you say, no, I don't want that. Switch it around. You have a whole choice of sound effects. Whoops, pardon me. You have a whole choice of sound effects. And the music that you were listening to there was the Lotus Flute music. But you have all sorts of stuff here that you can pick. Again, you just listen to them. Decide if you want to hear canoe paddling, if you want to add that. You know, if you're outside and you have a lot of ambient noise around you, and then you have a canoe shot, you may just want to add some canoe music instead of your real ambient with all the noise around you, so you can fake it out. And then GarageBand is GarageBand is the music program, and you can go to your GarageBand and pick music if you make your own music. So it's very versatile, very happy.
If you pick one of the backgrounds, can you put that in the beginning as an idle slide?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can
You
do
just
anything
click
you want.
on the color and it'll show up.
Shows up there, and then you add the title to it.
I was trying
the
to remember
pictures-
how I did it.
The pictures that I did here had the title on it.
But I was just trying to put the blank slide at the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
Just use it as a picture. Last thing is some things to avoid. I've done these, so you don't want to do them. It's really a pain. I covered this a little bit earlier. Let me just say what they are first. Don't manipulate your movies in Finder. By that I mean, don't try to move them from place to place, or once you find them, import them into iMovie and then do your manipulation in iMovie. And secondly, there's a package called, there are two things called packages. And packages are, I'll try and show you here. Packages are the way iMovie stores George. this is really a small print. I know a guy who told us how to stack our icons so you could find them.
George loves icons and you, I love.
All right, for example, if you right-click on iMovie Library, now this is my iMovie Library, right? I've gone to my hard drive, and this is what you see. You see your iMovie Library, you see your iMovie Theater. This is the slideshow we've been looking at, and then iMovie Sharing and iMovie Thumbnails. Well, you can open this, and the way you do that is you can right-click it, and it says Open or Show Package Contents. You do not want to, once you do that, you do not want to then manipulate it. I'll show you what's in there. Here's what's in here. Here's all the projects, updated projects, yada, yada, yada. It's all organized by project. And your tendency is, my tendency was, to go in there and start screwing around. Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. Do it in iMovie only. And the reason for that is, this is very convoluted. It's very organized. It's indexed. iMovie knows where everything is, and as soon as you screw around, it doesn't know what to do anymore. So you'll spend an inordinate amount of time fixing it. Sure.
Bob Kennedy makes the analogy that each of these programs really has an accountant inside it that is keeping track of all the pieces. And when you go in and muck around, you've done something the accountant doesn't know about, and therefore the books are out of kilter. So do not open a package and do anything inside it unless you want to spend the rest of your life undoing what you just did.
Absolutely. So manipulate your movie. You can do anything you want as long as you haven't put it into a project or an event. I mean, I have lots of movies on my other hard drives that are not in iMovie yet. But once they're in iMovie, manipulate them in iMovie. You can drag and drop them, you can delete them, you can trim them, you can cut them, you can do it, whatever you want. But do it in iMovie, not outside of it. Right?
And that is true for things like iTunes and for iPhoto. All those applications are very complex, and they've got the databases keeping track of everything, and they're not designed for us to play with.
So any questions or further thoughts?
I'd like to ask you about your external hard drive backup system. You use those as well for photos and music? Do you keep them on separate external hard drives also?
Music, I use iTunes Match. So it's on my hard drive, and it's on iCloud for my other devices. I also back up my hard drive to Carbonite and to Time Machine. So my music, my documents, my calendar, contacts, all that stuff is backed up twice. Carbonite and Time.
But the movies you prefer to keep on a separate external hard drive.
I keep these separate, and then I back up from, in my case, from white to black. I do that with a program called Backup, which is the old mobile meet program. Okay. It's free from Apple, works great. You can schedule it. You know, so once a week I take this and I back it up to my black hard drive. My blue gets backed up to blue. You know.
So you manually have to connect them and set up the backup, or is it some way it's done automatically for you?
Well, they're all connected. They're always all connected.
They are all connected through a hub?
Yeah. And then I just tell Backup to back them up once a week or once a day or however long I want to do it.
And it does that automatically? It's scheduled ahead?
Yeah, I do it weekly. I do these weekly if I'm using them, and then my stock movies, you know, the things we can look at on Apple TV, I just do once a month.
So the other way to do that would be just to leave those on the computer and use Time Machine or Super Duper or Backup.
Yeah, run out of space though. My Time Machine backup is 4 terabytes, so I can't get many iterations. And then if I put another 7 terabytes on top of it, I run out of space. Okay. That's why I've done that. I do my Mac to my Time Machine. Right. Carbonite's unlimited. Best $59 you'll ever spend. Carbonite. Unlimited storage for a person. Just goes up there and does it. Keep track of everything.
How much is Carbonite?
$59 a year.
A year. 59? That's all.
Yeah. Unlimited storage, that's for one computer per year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I spend $59 times 2 at Dell.
For those who don't have or haven't found backup in your computer, it would not be supplied as part of the new computer. If you had migrated across over years, it's a piece of software. But both carbon copy chloride or super duper, you can schedule, and you could do, if you had 7 drives, you could schedule super duper to move between drive B and drive C on a once a week basis too. So all those backup systems that we have the ability to run multiple schedules so that you've got all the redundancy you need.
Is there a problem though if they're connected through a hub? You'd have to have them all connected for it to work according to the schedule.
Yes.
Unless you plug them in each time, which you don't want to have to do.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got about 6 drives, and they're connected through a hub.
Through a hub, and there's not a problem with the copying. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I've got lots of questions. With this, there's no collaboration then.
Say again, there's no...
We cannot collaborate with iMovie because it has to be on my computer. It has to be on the computer of the guy who's collaborating with me. So he has to work at my computer?
I think that's true. You know that? I think that's true.
Because we can't move these things. And do we do rendering in iMovie?
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
Well, we used to take all our clips and then we ran them through this process and it made our movie.
It's going on in the background.
So I'm trying to figure, I have a movie that was shot, it was shot intentionally, but it was shot with a $150 Kodak still camera, and he did video for 30 minutes. And he shot a funeral, but he didn't have a microphone, of course, at the front. He had it back on his camera.
Right.
So I'm trying to get somebody to pump up my sound. And when you talked about your canoe shot with ambient noise, you can't believe the noise that's going on in a funeral. You know, this is a
there's some audio adjustment possible here.
Well, I think we can, but I'm trying to figure out, should I try to move it on to Final Cut, or should I do nothing and let him try to bring it into his own program?
I can't answer that. I don't know. If it were me, I would try it here because you can separate the soundtrack, and then you can manipulate that soundtrack with audio programs, and then you can put the soundtrack back in.
I don't think you're going to solve your problem, though. You're trying to pick up sound that is originally very low because it's very far from the camera.
I assume it can be pumped up a little bit.
It can be pumped up, but you're going to pump up all the other noise, the bugs and the winds. And
He's got it very...
You don't have to do it linearly. You can adjust the frequency with some of the audio programs that they have now. You can take the...
I haven't had any. I personally haven't found a way to...
So this is the first time I realized I can't pass this on to somebody to have him look at it. But if it's rendering in the background, then he can't take it apart either, right?
I don't know. There might be programs out there that you can do it, but
I don't know why you can't just send him a copy of it.
Well, of the clips.
Basically, that's what
Send him a copy of the clips. Yeah. Okay, I'll try that.
But I mean, there's all kinds of ways of giving it to him.
You can do it.
You can put it on YouTube and send it to him, and then he can take it from YouTube and make a video file.
Yeah,
Other questions?
Yeah, how did you transfer, Mike McGuire, how did you transfer your old Super 8 tapes to your computer? Did you have the original cameras that you did it on, or anything?
No, I did it really badly. We took all our Super 8s, they were my father-in-law's Super 8 millimeter and 16 millimeters, and we gave them to a service, much like George said, give it to Costco and let them do it. But the way we did it was we gave them the box of film clips, film reels. And then he put it on VHS for us. Then I took those VHSs and gave them to Costco and had them make DVDs for me. The reason I say we did it badly is he didn't put them in order.
Oh.
So if you go through some of the things that I have here, I've got, my wife when she was 8, and then my wife when she was 4, and then, sort of stupid. So if I had to do it over again, and I still have the videos, but they're really old, I would do them one at a time. But it's so easy. It's so easy now. They can take 8mm and 16mm and make DVDs out of them for you.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive, but it's got new reason.
I was just going to say, if you have not the 8 or 16mm, but VHS tapes, there are machines that do them also, like Go Video.
Yeah.
You can plug in a VHS tape and a blank DVD, and it'll transfer a copy directly to it.
What I did with this was I took my VHS. I still have a VHS player because I have a collection of VHS tapes, movies and things that I'm not going to get rid of. They've been used once. Why would I get rid of them? So I took those. I took that tape player, plugged it into this, which plugged into my thing with a USB, and I put them on my computer. And that's part of what's on my hard drive.
Yeah, because I have a whole mess of Super 8 tapes, and I also have the camera that I recorded them on. It's supposed to be, I don't know how long they're good, how long they last.
They age, so do it sooner rather than later. They age.
3
It's like
years,
this.
16
It's like
years.
this, right? This is the old mini DVD tape,
Yeah.
and I put them all on my hard drive. This won't age. This might crash, but it won't age. Your tapes are going to age, and your movies are going to age, and your CDs and DVDs will age. I'm sorry, you had your hand up first.
I haven't done much at all with movie clips. I take a lot of pictures, and I'm interested in putting together slideshows of trips that I've done, things like that, with captions, with background music. What would you say would be the better way to do it, iPhoto or iMovie?
There's pluses and minuses.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've done both, and there's pluses and minuses to both.
Vicki,
Yeah.
what do you say?
I would say if you just want a standard, not anything special in terms of the music, iMovie is the quickest and the easiest. But I do all my, not iMovie, I'm sorry, iPhoto. I do all of mine on iPhoto, and I use both iMovie. I use iMovie for all of my slideshows, and I have stills, and I have some movie clips. And the reason that I do that is because there's so much individualization that you can do, such as putting a title somewhere, the music, you can have it, and then you can make it quiet, maybe when you've got a little video going and you want that music, you can talk over it. There's just a lot more you can do. If you want just a fast, nothing fancy iPhoto, but if you really want to individualize, and I do all mine on iMovie.
Thank you.
The other thing that I'd offer that I do a lot of is Keynote or PowerPoint. I use Keynote for slides a lot. I'll take a bunch of slides because it's easy then to add captions and transitions and whatever you want. You can now add movies to Keynote or PowerPoint, but basically the same. So I'd say at least consider that. What makes it easy with Keynote is if you drag a photo in, with PowerPoint you have to size it and put it in the right place. With Keynote you just put it in and it's smart enough to know where it goes. So if you want a full screen or if you want to just put it in the side panel or at the bottom of the slide, you can then do that and have captions around it. So I've used that for some of my courses.
Yeah, I agree with Vicki. I think you can make much nicer slideshows in iMovie. I've done it several times when you do remembrances and things like that because you can do so much more with it. I mean, it goes from very little to as elaborate as you want to get. But.
Just one hint that I want to make, if you're doing that and you're using photos, unless you really want it, make sure that you have the Ken Burns effect turned off. You can turn it on for individual photos
Yeah.
if you want to do that. And the other problem with Ken Burns on iMovie is that it cuts off, even when it's full frame, it cuts off part of your photo. So I just automatically turn it off for everything. And if I want it in a special place, then I'll put it back in just on one or two.
It does work on vertical photos if you want to scroll it down.
Right.
You know, if you have a vertical photo, you can just scroll down it if that as an effect. But if you put it in, as Vicki says, if you put it in with the Ken Burns effect, it can really mess it up. So it's a problem with vertical and horizontal photos.
You got your hand up.
Yeah, Kathy Robbins, a couple of points about your question. Number one, I found when I did mine in 2006, I made Christmas DVDs for all the family, and they were all different. I would definitely try a small project, okay, as small as 5 photos, and do it in iPhoto, do it in iMovie. I have iDVD. That's what I ended up in 2006, ending up with iDVD for reasons that were valid back then. So try little projects first, and then you see, okay, I can do this in iMovie, but not in iPhoto, and I can do that in iPhoto, but not in iMovie. And something, you might use both for not the same project, but for this project you use iMovie. And for film retention, I did my project for my family 22 years ago, where I took the 16 millimeter film and took it to a photo shop, you know, a professional photo developer, and he put it on VHS for me, set to music, and he used the writing on the outside of each box. They were in order as the title going in. Very nice job. And I had a master and 5 copies made. Cost me $500 back then, but it's a very nice job, and that is one of my VHS that I need to have converted, because I took that to Walgreens 3 or 4 years ago. Awful, just an awful job. They took out the whole soundtrack. You know, they said, "Oh, we didn't think you wanted that."
Take your VHS, borrow this thing, and just put it on your computer.
I don't have VHS.
Oh, rent one.
Yeah.
Borrow my VHS. Just a second. Go ahead.
I went to New Zealand about a year and a half ago, and I took 4,000 slides on my Panasonic Lumix camera, which that's the problem with digital cameras. But because I had an 8-year-old Mac laptop with 10 gigs left, I gave those to a place, Bob Watson up in Cape Coral, that I've used before to put slides and things onto a DVD. Well, he gave up trying to do it, because basically the problem was that the pictures weren't going into his program. He was using a PC and I don't know what program in the right order. No matter what he did, they weren't going in the right order. I had them all organized by date, location, and everything. So he sent it back to me and gave up. Except when I was trying to open them, after I got my new computer last week, one of the first things I did is I copied those slides onto my hard drive. And iPhoto seemed to be opening them in the right order. So I tried to get a Panasonic expert to give me advice, and I asked for my money back because it didn't solve the problem.
Sometimes they change the date, and then the orders aren't right. And I don't know. I can't tell you why.
Yeah, and I heard it had happened to somebody who used a Canon camera, trying to make CDs on a PC.
Changes the date.
Someday maybe I'll
I haven't figured out why yet.
pay something else.
Other questions? Well, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Marty.